So, generational curses or patterns of behavior from your grandparents actually affecting you right now in your life? Hi, I'm Elizabeth Eleanor. This is day 8 of 365 days on YouTube talking about spiritual awakening. I have been on a magical, crazy journey for 27 years, actually, as long as I've been alive, I reckon. And I have been challenged to jump on here and just share my story, unedited, raw, and real. And one of my beautiful friends from school asked me in Facebook, how do generational curses work, or could things from my grandparents actually be affecting me now? And what about the decisions that I'm making for my children? And it's a big topic, right? So this is something that's scientifically proven. If you want to look up epigenetics, it is something that is a relatively new science compared to some of the others. I think that it's been around 20 odd years. And epigenetics means above the genes. So they have discovered that not only do we have things come into our DNA like, precursors to cancer or, illnesses or disease that are physical, but we also have trauma responses that are actually deeply rooted in our DNA and therefore can be passed down from parent to parent to parent to parent. One of the more interesting topics that they've been researching is Holocaust survivors. So I don't know where the study is anymore, but it is something that you can research, I'm sure. They started researching Holocaust survivors and the generations that have passed. And so they discovered that even though maybe 2, 3 generations passed, I think it's 2, 3, whatever it is, children that have no particular reason in their life to have any stress or trauma. So they grew up in a happy family, in, socio-economic health, no issues with their physical body, all of those things, having traumas that were unexplained, like trauma responses and PTSD to loud noises or confined spaces. And they have been able to go into looking that this has got to do with their DNA and that has been stuck in their DNA from the trauma that their great-grandparents went through in the Holocaust. So yes, it's not just something that is a spiritual thing. And even in the Bible, it says the sins of the father will be passed down through the lineage, right? I think it's 7 generations it says in there, or something like that. It's not just a spiritual thing, but it's also scientifically proven through epigenetics. So I want to give you one little thing first, is that one of my understandings, like in my limited awareness of science and the way things work, is, you hear that a DNA replicates, excuse me, a DNA replicates or a cell replicates every 28 days or whatever it is, depending on the cell, whether it's a liver cell or whether it's, a skin cell or whatever it is. So when a cell replicates, in my limited understanding, you just sort of think that here's a cell and it replicates to a healthy cell, right? You don't think about it when you don't have any understanding of, anatomy and physiology and, cell manufacturing and all that sort of stuff, right? However, if a cell, you think about it, we're in a body I'm right now at the beginning of 2025, and we live in a toxic world. We live in our air that we breathe is full of toxins. The conditions inside a house are full of toxins. There's glue in the carpet that I'm on. There is chemicals wherever we look, right? I live pretty toxic free. However, you cannot go past it. So in the water that we drink, unless you filter it, right? Which I do. In the air that we breathe, in the things that people put on their skin, there is chemicals. In the foods that we eat, fingernail polish, makeup, shampoo, conditioner, you name it, we have toxins bombarding our system over and over and over again. The meat that we eat, the vegetables that we grow, our resources is completely different to what it used to be in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, right? We now live in a completely toxic environment. So all of those things are affecting our body on a physiological level and our hormones. So you put perfume on, you put any of that stuff on, right? Any of that stuff that I was just talking about, those things are hormone disruptors, and they're causing your body to change the hormonal structure of this perfect body that we were born into, and now is out of function, right? It's got dis-ease in it. And so that dis-ease and that hormone disrupting causes us to have particular moods, feel depressed, feel lack of energy, foggy mind, you name it, all the things. You can look it up. This is not a health chat, but like it could be. I do as much as I possibly can. I use essential oils on my skin. Everything that I use on my skin is as chemical free and toxic free as possible. Same with my shampoo and conditioner. There's no way I'm putting Botox or any chemicals, injecting stuff into my face, peels, you name it, all the stuff that I see some of the people I know doing. My fingernails, if I put that glue on and put those artificial fingernails on, or even the nail polish, the normal nail polish, my fingers can't breathe. I can feel that my fingers can't breathe, right? I've been watching a woman on Facebook, someone I know through a business event, business course that I did ages ago, who is just starting to move away from all of that stuff. She's in her 30s, maybe she's just like late 30s, and her eyelashes have melted away because she uses that glue and the artificial eyelashes, right? Her fingernails are all distorted because she's been putting those artificial nails on, right? All of these things affect our physiological representation of our body inside, our cells, and our hormones, which then, of course, affects the way we feel, act, and behave. So now you're making assumptions, judgments, decisions, choices, reacting to life from this place. And I'm telling you, you are not making clear, clean, healthy decisions when your body is not in this place. So let's back up and go into what our parents did. So right now, we have the opportunity for our life to be full of, shifting into a higher consciousness, shifting into a new reality. Where we are at this time and space in consciousness is very close to moving as a collective into fifth dimension. Not all of us, but a shift that's going to be big enough to create a massive change on the planet. Let's go back a couple of generations. My mum tells me on a regular basis, she's now got dementia and she can't speak about all this stuff. But she used to tell me about how there was no personal development, spiritual development. Oh my gosh, there was no spiritual development. When I spiritually woke up, and was playing with this stuff before I had the physical experiences, there wasn't spiritual books at a bookshop. I remember the first thing I ever did was go to a shop. There was a spiritual shop in this back alley in Blacktown, where I grew up, and they would have basic spiritual lessons in the night, and we used to go to the back of the shop. There was no anything mainstream. It wasn't there in my lifetime. So go back to our parents' lifetime, and there was no personal development. They were just surviving. The years that their parents were just surviving, and then our parents, this generation that were brought up in the 40s or grew up in the 40s and the 50s, that generation were starting to think about dreaming the dream, the Australian dream, the American dream, or whatever. They were being conditioned by, the overall arching, whoever that is, to start dreaming into a vision of something more. And so technology started to come in, and they got things like the vacuum cleaner and the electric fridge and electric cars, or not electric cars, cars that had petrol and all of these things, right? Their decisions that they were making, I'm going somewhere, guys. Their decisions that they were making weren't coming from a higher choice, weren't coming from knowing that they were a soul here to experience. They were being conditioned to live in a very limited reality, a very limited understanding of what life is all about. So the decisions that were made by our grandparents and our parents, and no one on the planet there is no one on the planet that hasn't had someone in their generational history go through a war, a famine, the loss of something, a trauma from, disease, a regression, a recession, you name it, there's been trauma in our family's lineage. So now you think of our cells replicating, and we know that it's not just physical things, but it is also trauma and emotions that get locked into our DNA and they replicate. Then these things are passed on from generation to generation. I just recently discovered that there was something that was going on with my business, and I was trying to work out what is this block, what's going on. And it took me a little while, but I discovered, because I tune into my higher self, into my superconscious, and ask from that place, show me what's going on, show me the information, give me a sign, tell me what needs to be corrected here. And I discovered that I'm 53 years old, and it dawned on me that my mum, who also had a business and moved from, I've moved from a sole trader to a company, and mum, who moved from the sole trader to a company, would have been exactly the same age as I am now. And one of the things that she used to say to me all the time, for anyone that's in Australia and knows the history of politics, there was a guy in called, oh my gosh, I've forgotten the name, Paul Keating. Paul Keating. Paul Keating had told us that we had the recession that we had to have. And so I grew up in my late 20s, sorry, late teens, early 20s. Actually, maybe it was a mid-20s now that I'm thinking about it, with Mum talking about the recession that we had to have and how it nearly bankrupted her business, and her business folded and she was unable to move it into anything more, and it collapsed and she had to move on to a different business. And as soon as I had that information come through from my intuition, my superconscious, I was able to clear the lineage that was me being parallel to my mum, having a company, and her decisions, her trauma, beliefs, emotions, and memories that were stored in me, in her, that were affecting me. Now, this is not, I'd already been born, right? This was not something that came to me through the replication of DNA. This is like almost soul lineage DNA. So there was this soul lineage DNA, and I could guarantee that there was the same sort of pattern that happened to her mother, who was also in business, and her grandmother. So my mum's grandmother, who I was named after, who I know was also in business. And so I could guarantee, I don't know this for a fact, but I bet if I found out and I was able to ask someone like my auntie, that there would be something that had happened in that time, and I don't know how far it went down and how far it went through past where the original event that started it happened, but it had been replicating over and over until someone came into our lineage with the foresight and the awareness and the consciousness to clear that correction and to shift that vibration of trauma response to success in business. So yes, that's a long and convoluted way of sharing this information, but you can have lineages with past lives and past bloodline patterns that are holding you back right now and tethering you and holding you, weighting you down from experiencing all that you're here to achieve. And the very things that you decide right now can be doing the same for your children. So this is why it's important for us to be doing the work, to be clearing these things, to be asking for, the support from your higher self, from the guidance, show me the way, asking to clear these things out of the way, and releasing this lineage so that you can elevate your frequency to a higher place, and we can all ascend into this fourth and fifth dimension and be in this amazing magic that's just about to happen to us very shortly, guys. It's so exciting. So if you love what I'm sharing and you're still on the journey, please subscribe and hit the bell, and see you in the next one. My website's down there. I was going to say downstairs. Grab my website, check out what I'm doing, and I will see you tomorrow.